Yo, season 2. I actually wasn't sure if I was going to be here. I finished season 1, I was like, am I going to keep watching? You bet I am. Mad Max. That was the title of this episode. What happened in this episode even? Like, we started off with that police chase, and then they showed the wrist and it said 008. And it's like they wanted us to be shocked, but I'm not. Typically, to get to 11, you have to go 1 through 10. So obviously there's 10 other supernatural MK Ultra kiddos out there, and I'm not shocked by that in any capacity. I believe I said something about Ronald Reagan in the part 2 of my last video for season 1, and it's funny because actually, Mike's family had a Reagan Bush sign in their lawn, and I thought that was very fitting because his family seems like the kind of people who would. I really chuckled. They were in that arcade, and Mike was like, I'm not prostituting my sister. And Dustin said, it's for a good cause, to find out who Mad Max is. Is that a good cause? I'm not sure. So Will can now travel to the Upside Down without having to go through a portal? Or does the Upside Down come to him? I'm not sure I'm understanding any of that. I'm pretty sure this girl, the Mad Max girl, Max, or Mad Max, is that not Sadie Sink from the All Too Well 10-minute version short film? Is that the same girl? The versatility of this acting. Incredible. Wait, is this where she got her start? Honestly, what the heck is Sean Astin doing in this show? What's his name? Bob? Bob seems like he might be collateral damage in this show. You know how the one overly nice guy always dies? I feel like it's gonna be Bob. That doctor that was talking to Will was brilliant. He knows what he's doing. He clearly has worked with kids before. The other guy, that Brenner guy, is that what his name was? He was awful. So I'm glad we finally got a doctor who at least knows how to communicate with children, no matter what his intentions are. Okay, couple takeaways that are so important about this episode. Number 1, Stancy is still alive, okay? Steve and Nancy were cuddled up on the couch. I'm so happy. I honestly could just watch this show without anything except for Steve and Nancy's love story. That's how much I love them. They're just so cute. Also, Hopper and 11, we had 352 days of no 11. That's crazy. But do you know where she was? She was with Hopper. And what did I say? I said, Hopper could be a father figure to her. I did a Taylor Swift song. There was a little thing that I put in the last video, and here we are. Hopper and 11, here we are. I'm so happy. The only takeaway here, are we gonna do this every season, where there's like a creature and then they fight it, and then there's a creature and then they fight it? Or are we gonna change it up a little bit? I would just prefer if there's not a lot of slime. But that's just me, okay? Let's keep going. First off, we got an 11 backstory of how she ended up with Hopper, and I really enjoyed that. I was curious what was going on. I really love seeing how the two of them connected. Obviously we know I'm a big 11 Hopper fan. I'm so here for it. We had more slime this episode, and I don't know if I've made it clear, but I'm actually not a fan of the slime. 11 seemed pretty chill for a while being in the Upside Down, and then like she wasn't chill, and then she was chill, and it's just like, how does that even work? She's just a scared little girl, and I just want somebody, Joyce maybe, to give her a hug. Does 11 ever start to formulate actual sentences with proper English? It's okay if she doesn't, but I just want to mentally prepare for that. The minute Hop made a promise, he was like, I promise I'll be home on time. I was like, okay, foreshadowing, he will not be home on time. What's Lucas's little sister's name? Is it Erica? It might be Erica. What a gem. Somebody get her an Oscar. That kid, why isn't she the main character? Now, why is the gooey wall getting bigger, it looks like? Maybe my perception's off because I don't like looking at it, so I actually don't know how big it is, but that black wall of goo looks like it's getting bigger. I just don't love the goo. Huge shout out, they played Islands in the Streams, and banger of a song. Go-to karaoke song, actually. I don't really think I understand why Bob was dressed up, because at Joyce's house, they don't get any trick-or-treaters, so why did Bob need to dress up as Dracula? I don't love Bob, I don't think. Robert? Bobby? Bobbert? I'm not a fan. And now, also, where did this little kid dressed as a cowboy come from that Hopper took all the Halloween candy from? Where did that kid... Who was supervising that child? Why was he alone? A year ago, Will went missing. These people are just letting their kids run amok? Supervise them. Okay, we got this Slender Man-looking, scary shadow creature up in the sky, but only Will can see it. I don't know what it means. I don't know what's going on. I'm getting quite confused. We gotta talk about the love triangle of it all. Johnny, Nancy, Steve. I don't know what Johnny expected. Like, he went to that party, saw Nancy and Steve dancing, and then he got sad. What did he expect to happen? Nancy and Steve having this fight, and Nancy being like, I didn't mean it. Well, you know what, Nancy? Drunk words are sober thoughts. So going forward, be better. And you know why she was drinking in the first place? Barbara. And what did we learn from Barbara? That underage drinking leads to your death. And what did we learn from Nancy? That because of Barbara, underage drinking has led to her breakup. So, what's the message here? Just say no. Just say no. I don't even know what's going on anymore. What the heck is a pollywog? And I knew the minute that I saw that little thing being like deformed and it wiggling, I was like, that's the little snail slug that Will threw up into the sink. I already know it. The way 11 foams at the mouth for Eggos cracks me up. I wish that somebody looked at me the way that 11 looks at Eggos. Something about her throwing a fit with telekinesis that means it's like a little bit more scary. I would not want to get on her bad side when she is on her period. It's bringing me a lot of joy to know that she has Hopper and 11. Just eating their breakfast together. But honestly, get this girl a mom. She needs a mom. Hopper is awesome, but she needs a mom. Joyce, you are up. And you know what that means? We gotta get rid of Bob. He said, get in the Bobmobile, and I said, no. Instantly, no. Bob said, get in the Bobmobile, and then proceeded to share some of the worst advice he possibly could have ever given Will. And Will followed through with that. And now he's got a whole shadow ghost inside him. I don't even know what happened there. The little Slender Man, spider-looking shadow surrounded him, and now what happened to Will? We don't know. Let's circle back to Bob for a minute. Joyce and Bob. I can tell that Joyce loves Bob, but she's not in love with Bob. You know who she's in love with? Jim freaking Hopper. So let's speed it up. Let's just get rid of Bob, bring in Jimmy, and live happily ever after with a child who can see the Upside Down, and another child who has telekinesis, and Johnny. No powers, just Johnny. Billy. That's Max's older brother, I think, or whatever that dynamic is. Not a fan of Billy. Let's get rid of Billy. I don't know who's going to get rid of him, but let's do it. And crazy enough, Shawn Levy directed this episode. I saw his name on the screen, and my jaw dropped. I don't know why this popped into my head, but I was watching Sadie Sink on the screen as Mad Max, and I was like, why is she giving Sabrina Carpenter on Girl Meets World? If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Like, just pay attention to her, specifically that acting. You know what? I saw Shawn Levy's name again, and I was like, it's gonna be a good episode, and I was right. I'm just a really big fan of when we pick up where we left off. I don't even understand what's happening to Will anymore. Is this thing... Now he is a vine creature, and he is the Upside Down, maybe? Or he's controlled by the Upside Down? Or...
I don't understand.
I'm just not grasping that. What's going on with Will? Why can he see all this? Why is this happening? Why is it so gross and slimy in these tunnels? And is the Upside Down just underneath them now? I don't even know what to say about this episode because I'm just really, really lost. But I guess if we're going to dive into the little side parts, Joyce said to Will, "I'm never going to let anything happen to you ever again." Well, Joyce, you have no control over that, and this is foreshadowing. So something's going to happen to Will now. I think Bob is somehow going to have to come in clutch soon. It seems like they're trying to introduce him as a character, but they're not. And so what I think is that something's going to happen and Bob's going to like come in and be a hero. Otherwise, he's going to die. Or both. Could happen that way too. The 11 Hopper fight was insane. Remember, I think I said last episode, I was like, I would not want to get on her bad side during a fight because she got telekinesis. Well, yeah, she used it. And she used it hard. I mean, that house was destroyed. And then she goes to clean it up. And she uses her brain to lift a bookcase and move a chair, but she doesn't use her brain to clean up the glass? I don't think I get it. I don't think I understand how her powers work. Originally, I was like, either it's a really long, messed up snake, or it's a tunnel. And I was wrong about both, because it's vines, and under the pumpkins. I mean, at the end of the day, Will wouldn't get in the bathtub, and then Joyce said, what does it want? You know what, Joyce? I think we're all asking that question. What does it want? Why is it here in the first place? I'm still not sure about Max and Billy, because Billy said, we're family now. I thought they already were. I thought they were brother and sister. I actually think I'm wrong about that. And also, let's talk about Max for a second. They were like boys meeting in the AV club or wherever they meet, and they were like, sorry, OG members only, and Max got all mad. Max, you met these people like 3 days ago. You expect them to just bring you into every single meeting they have? Her frustration was not justified in any capacity. But 11 finding out her mom, that was... whoa. And then, we didn't even get to talk about the worst part of this episode, and that was Nancy and Johnny spending time together. Just give me Steve Harrington, because all I want is Nancy and Steve Harrington. None of this Nancy-Johnny side quest missions, even if it was a little sleuthing that they were doing, and it was pretty cool that they thought of all of that, just give me back Steve Harrington. Dirk, is that his name? Dirk is disgusting. He is covered in slime, he is gross looking, and he's got the face that opens up, and he is like a little deformed version of the demi-dude from last season, and I am not here for it. Ugh. He's so gross. And do you know why he's gross? Because he's slimy. This whole episode was really well put together, but I'm still just so lost. I don't even know. Like, I wish that I had better input or better predictions, but I don't, because I'm just so freaking confused and so grossed out by all of the slime. And that's where I'm going to leave it for this episode. Will was really sweaty at the start of this episode, and then Mike was sitting there and he was like, don't even worry about it, babe, we got it. It's all good. And then he talked him off the ledge. True friendship, if I've ever seen it. I mean, I'm really tired of seeing these tunnels. I'm really tired of the Upside Down. I think you all know why. It's because it's slimy. And I don't... I mean, cutting those vines off of Hopper? Ugh, gross. Gross. And like the texture of that? Ugh, nasty. And there was something that was like shooting out at him. What was that? I just hate everything about these tunnels. I hate everything about the slime. I'm literally just toughing through it, but I see it on the screen and I'm like, stop, gross, ew. I don't know how we go forward from here. I'm gonna go forward, but it's frustrating. When Johnny and Nancy were like, I still have my scar. Yeah, you sliced your hand open very deep. I think that scar is going to be there for a very long time, maybe forever. So don't act so shocked. And then Johnny did what Johnny does, and Johnny just made it awkward for absolutely no reason. You know who I miss? Steve Harrington. I don't understand why the vines thing is happening in the first place. How is it that Will can see Hopper dying? How is it that Hopper got in there, it closed up, but then they were able to find him again? How is it that it's directly below them? At this point, Will basically is the Upside Down. Because then they started lighting it on fire, and then it hurt Will, and what? I have no words. So on that note, let's just talk about Bob, because Bob was the key piece to all of this. Last episode, what did I say? I was like, Bob's gotta come in clutch. And then Bob came in clutch, and he figured out exactly where they needed to go. Kind of. Will did most of the heavy lifting by drawing and then saying turn right immediately. But he didn't ask any questions. He was just like, oh, it's a map of the town, and Will can see it, and he was so normal about it. I personally would have had a lot of questions. Even though Joyce said no questions, I would have been like, yeah, before I say anything, I'm going to need a little bit of a deep dive into why this is all going on. Bob just handled all of it like a boss. There wasn't even a shock factor to him. He was just kind of like, yeah, I'm in these slimy mines. Which makes me think, maybe Bob already knows about all of this. Maybe Bob is innocent, okay? That is a very real possibility, but because this is a TV show, I just have to assume the worst in everybody. What if Bob actually works for the Institute? Or he has a connection to the Institute? Or something like that? I wouldn't be shocked. And lastly, we got a Terry backstory. That was Eleven's mom. We got to see exactly, like, what happened, and I guess it all makes sense why she is the way she is. Her brain is fried. I think Terry is in the real world, but her mind is in the Upside Down. I think. I'm not positive on that. But I also don't know if it matters. Because I don't think Terry is going to play that big of a role. I think Eleven's just going to be like, oh, okay, well, I can't connect with her, so maybe I'll just go let Joyce be my mother. That would be cool. And special shout out, we saw more Erica this episode. Shout out to Erica. And shout out to Dustin's vintage goalie pads he had on. I don't love Dirk. Dirk is slimy, and I don't like that. Yeah, we're halfway there. This has been a very, very confusing season so far. I wish I could say, oh, it's going really well, because I can't. I have no idea what's happening. It's starting to frustrate me a little bit, and all I want to know is why these vine tunnels are here. I guess the only solution to solving that is to just keep watching. So I'm going to do that. See you later.